Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are again, traveling aboard train, traveling into the very depths of Europe and our very sanity. We are in 1915, no 1933 right now, because if we went there, there'd be some funereal services going on, and we don't want to be a part of that, not if we can change it. But until we go there, we need to stay here, and before we can start, we need to talk to these lovely people. So let's jump right across from me to none other than Don. Don, how are you doing, brother?
I'm great. I've been looking forward to this all week because we're getting to really throw down, I feel like, in a way that we haven't gotten a chance to do that as a team yet. Hopefully it'll go well. I kind of feel like the end of last episode was us getting our asses kicked pretty bad by some eldritch mojo, some tentacle monstrosities. I'll be playing Barnabas, young Barnabas. He doesn't have all the skills that he has in 1933. He doesn't really know what he's gotten himself into, and he's just starting to establish friendships with all these other people, relationships with these teammates. And now everything's changed because of one character who is somewhere where she wasn't before. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out.
That's right. That's right. When in doubt, and when things go the wrong way in Cthulhu, blame seems to help quite a bit. Let's jump across to the man that places no blame on anyone except his political rivals. How are we doing today, Finney? And better yet, at what temperature is Pete Abraham best served?
Oh boy. Slightly chilled so that there's that little bit of a condensation that builds on the outside of the glass, but not enough so that it leaves unnecessary rings.
So not well done is what
Correct.
Okay.
And yeah, absolutely terrified though, as is the mantra of Pete Abraham. And I'm playing honest Pete Abraham. In 1915, a humble, honest lawyer of only the utmost respect for the law and justice. That is absolutely not true. He is a absolutely horrible attorney who does not care about guilt or innocence, and that could be good because we'll see what the afterlife has in store for him.
There are deals to be made there, I am sure, and if there are, the contract will be penned and put together by one honest Pete Abraham. Let us jump straight above honest Pete to one Aphrodite as we ask Summer, how is she doing on this Saturday afternoon?
Well, I'm doing just peachy. I'm great. I had little to no anxiety about this until we started, and then suddenly here it comes. Yeah, I have some stress about the current situation, namely the cold. The one thing that is hurting me worse than anything, the fucking snow. So I'm ready to get inside, have a hot bath, kind of chill out a little bit, relax. But until then, I guess I'll just deal with it.
That sounds like something that Aphrodite would definitely do.
Yeah.
Like a hot bath, a nice drink, like a hot toddy or something, and then just, right.
That's her brand.
That's great. Let's jump over to Kiana. Kiana, when last we saw May, she was en route to the conflict, and we will be starting with you, but how are you doing after you are en route between two different places and just made it back because you're awesome?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of mid-moving hecticness, so what better way to take a break than eldritch hecticness? Things are gonna be fine, guys. I know I'm gonna be rolling a sanity roll. It's my first thing, so you know what? We're off to a great start today, and hopefully it just gets better from here.
Nice. And yes, there is that sanity roll to begin our session with. But before we do that, I would like to tell all of you wonderful viewers, if you would like to help the crew that you see around you who are currently battling an eldritch horror in the snow, you can look down into the doobly-doo, and there are donations down there for advantages and for crits if you would like to award them. Or if you want to be sinister, you can get sinister. I'm not sure they need it this time, but As Lord Conti will tell you, it's always fun in the giving. So as we look around, we need to address quickly the crit level of everybody on the screen. Now, we can see that there are 2 for Honest Pete and 2 for Barney. But even though only 3 are displayed for Summer and Kiana, they actually have Summer, you have 4, and Kiana, you have 5, respectively, as one Sabella Ives from across the Ives Esoteric and Antiquarian Bookstore has commuted your sentence for late fees, and you are given crits for both of your characters. And now, as we go back, let us recap what happened on last week's episode of Project Cronus. And I am going to do this as... I'm going to try something new, kids. Let's do this as one-line headlines. So last week on Project Cronus, a meeting in the snow, emotions beneath the surface. On the train, the investigation continues. Maxine Schmidt, missing father. Emotions infect the train. Maxine Schmidt, missing oxygen. Pete serves up some gin. Emile Duchamps has Warner Schmidt. And tentacles. Pete is a straight shooter with a brat. Aphrodite feels the chill. Honest Pete feels the burn. Simon Meadham. Barney's dust works too well. Joe and Barney are all wrapped up. May charges to the rescue. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we will begin this episode of Project Cronus, as the aforementioned battle is taking place just behind the now paused Orient Express, and as this tentacled creature has burst from the body of Emile Duchamps, there are 2 tentacles coming out of the right shoulder stump. There are 2 tentacles coming out of the left shoulder stump. At the end of the right shoulder stump is one Barney. At the end of the left shoulder stump is one Joseph Dietrich. Aphrodite has been pushed into the snow. Warner Schmidt is still asleep, lying in the snow. So with everybody either in states of injury, being frozen to death, or captured by these tentacles, around the corner, coming from further up the Orient Express, charges May. And on her hand is... And Kiana, I will allow you to explain, and then you can roll your sanity check.
Okay. Yeah, so Pete saw her put it on, but for the others who are there, you see a black work glove that seemed to have just been covered in copper wires of all forms, extremely clunky, and as if there's no hiding of any of these electrical parts to it. And in the center, in the palm, appears to be starting to be a bit of sparks and glowing as she starts to rush up.
Okay, and so as you come around the corner, the darkness and the snow casting kind of false illumination as the white of the snow reflects what little light there is. But the blue sparks of the electricity create its own light source as you round the corner. And Barney and Joe, despite being covered in these tentacles wrapping around his throat, he turns and can see you coming around the corner. Let's roll that sanity check.
God fucking, okay. That's a great start.
Well, what are you going to do? You're going to take 5 sanity loss as you run around the corner, and your temporary insanity is you don't know where Mimi is. You've never seen this bizarre naked woman that looks insane in the snow, kind of hunched over Warner Schmidt. She's not wrapped up. She's got to be one of the bad guys.
Okay.
But just for sake of narrative, you haven't seen her yet. As soon as Aphrodite reveals herself, if she does, you will view her as an enemy because you don't know. She certainly doesn't look like, in the hectic nature of a battle, to be the Mimi that you had just recently shared some time with. So you do see this creature. It shocks you to your core. and you see Barney and Joe constricted in its grasp. You may act.
And is this tentacly figure its back turned towards me?
Roll a luck roll.
Okay. Nope.
Looking right at you, sees you coming.
Great. Yeah, you know what? Screw it.
Its hands are kind of, what loosely can be described as hands are currently occupied.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna get up into his face with fist out and gonna electric punch him if I can.
Okay, just so you guys know too, from the great beyond, Dwight Burke fires a shot off for each of you. You have all been awarded a crit by the sniper of Project Athena.
Thank you. Alright, so may I try to punch this guy with my electric glove, Greg?
You may absolutely attempt to punch this guy with your electric glove.
You know, how about we use a crit on that, Greg?
I think that that's a fantastic idea because then I don't have to mark yours down. As you have, and I think it's oh so fitting that you are using a Dwight Burke crit on this one as you come around and haul off as to describe to us, this is the first time you're using this invention. So I would like you to describe to us exactly how May utilizes this weapon. Question.
Yes, it is a prototype, not a weapon yet. So the sparks that had been coming off of it, that had been illuminating her path towards here, suddenly glows with an intensity of almost blue-white as the copper wires in the center of her palm just totally alight. And as she reaches around and with practice goes towards this guy, it's not quite a punch, it is like a straight into the nose, up into the where you'd be pushing into his skull basically, as she goes and into him.
Okay, so as she palm strikes with the power of nature on her side, go ahead and roll me that attack, and you automatically crit, but we need to know what the damage is for this glove. And as soon as you do that, I want you to roll a mechanical repair roll too, as your invention is put through its paces.
All right. Wait. We double that to 6 points of just pure electric damage.
Correct.
And then mechanical repair, I get advantage on this with hard success either way.
Okay, so with that hard success, not only does the invention keep its integrity, works correctly, but you're able to glean a little bit of just practical knowledge off of that. I'll leave that, Kiana, to what May would make of that, as maybe when it hits, it went beyond what her expectation was. There was a bit less of an insulation that was required. Her mind is spinning ways to improve it, make it more dexterous, just that type of thing. So keep mark of that, and whenever you get a certain amount of those, you can upgrade the glove to what will be its future incarnation. And as you hit this thing and the electricity zaps through what would have been its face, but you see that as the face of Emile Duchamp moves, you can see something beneath, something gray and rubbery, very akin to the tentacles that have burst from the shoulder stumps. You do, however, see it move and seize, and the electricity arcs along. I would like Barney to make a luck roll as I make one for Joe Dietrich. Barney, you feel the surge of conducted electricity as, we're going to say, a third of it reaches you. So for 2 points of electrical damage that filters through from May's strike, the hair lifts off, your nails blacken, you feel that electrical discharge as it works its way through this creature. We are now going to go back around, and because I am feeling benevolent, I am going to do the following. We're going to put May at the top of the order because she is free. We are going to put Aphrodite next because she is free. And we are going to put Barney at 3 because he's not Joe. And Joe goes last. And then we will see exactly what we want to do. And we had another donation come in. So, May, you have gone. You are toe-to-toe with this creature. Aphrodite, what would you like to do?
I don't know. Okay, so she's currently in the snow and she just sucked the life out of this poor sleeping man. Oops. She looks up when she, I assume, sees May and immediately recognizes that as May. And I think there's just this like kind of, I don't know if it's a conscious reaction, but she feels very protective. And so I think she would want to get basically between May and this horrifying creature. I mean, ideally, I would love to rip his head off. That's what my goal would be. But first things first, getting in between May and the creature.
I will allow you to make your move and insert yourself between May, because they're not locked in combat.
Yeah.
She is just struck, so you can move and make your way between there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will allow you to make an attack against the creature if you would like.
Yeah, for sure I want to.
Awesome. Let's do that then.
Should I bite? I'm better at biting. Kind of. I'm just going to bite him again because that's more fun.
Of course.
Oops.
Okay, so you, and that's also a fumble. So, as we often say here on the channel, the dice like to tell the story. And the story that is currently being told is, May, you see a naked woman charging towards you with black, almost wet hair bouncing in frozen kind of locks. She charges forward, slips a bit on the snow, and the attack that looked like it was intended for the creature goes dangerously close over your head as the arm of Aphrodite whooshes out, confirming your fears that there are 2 attackers here against Barney and Joe. Thank you, Dice.
Thank you.
And Barney, what would you like to do as you are currently being held?
So Barney's wrapped up in a tentacle. He sees May rush in and slam this electrical. You can't really tell it's a glove. It just looks like a hand into the tentacle half man that used to be Emil. And he says, May. And as he's shaking, wrapped up in the tentacles, once he sort of shakes it off, he's still got his rifle, but can he fire it, or is he restrained?
He is currently restrained as both of these tentacles are almost wrapped around him, around the throat, kind of around the shoulder. It's very much like it's trying to, with 2 appendages that have that type of dexterity, looks like it's trying to wrap and draw you in. So you are fighting with these 2. You're like Luke at the bottom of the trash compactor.
So I think what Barney wants to do first and foremost is try to get free. So he would, if he could get the gun, the rifle up, he might try to fire it kind of like straight up into the actual tentacle that's wrapping around him, see if he can get it to retract, like in the trash compactor scene.
Okay. So what I'll have you do here is roll me an attack at disadvantage. Not because you can't hit this thing, it's right on you, but because you're moving as independent of your own actions or your own, so you're not sure where you're going to be ripped. So when you're firing, it's almost like you're timing it to, free yourself. And we'll see if the pendulum swings the right way.
Let's see what happens. Just a regular success.
Nice. Go ahead and roll some damage for me as you're able to blast into this tentacle. That's okay.
6 damage.
So for 6, as you hit this tentacled creature, you wound it enough, but the rubbery hide of this creature seems to absorb a lot of the blast, but it's enough to knock you free as you hit the ground, and you're now lying in the snow prone, but you do have movement left if you want to use it to get yourself up.
Yeah, he sort of rolls in the snow, his face planting into the white powder dust. He pulls up and he sees the naked woman Aphrodite there. He sees May there. He sees Joe. Joe's still like up in the air and in the other tentacle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he'll stand up and he'll start reloading his rifle. And if he's going to move, it's just going to be a little bit like a little circle to the outside. He's starting to move in the opposite direction of Joe and the tentacle.
Okay, let me ask you this. If we're looking at a clock with the creature at the center, currently at 12 o'clock would be Aphrodite and May. You would have been at 9 o'clock, and Joe would have been at 3 o'clock. Where are you moving?
Ooh, 6 o'clock.
Okay. So you're getting down on its literal 6 as you kind of skirt and go down behind it. Awesome, awesome. Joe is going to attempt to, he dropped his gun, so he is going to attempt to free himself the old-fashioned way with brute force. So the first roll is Joe's, the second is the creature's. Yeah, Joe's not going to work, as you see Joe flexing, and he's trying to pull this thing off of him, and just when it looks like he gets a little bit of a leeway or gets ahead with one of the tentacles, the other one kind of slaps him across the face, and he lets go, and it goes back around his throat. As it looks like Joe's side, the tentacles are beginning to reel him in. He's maybe 5 feet off the air, off the ground, and he's being pulled closer to the creature. May, you would see that right around the waist level of this creature, something splits. You think it's like clothing at first, but it's the skin that splits and opens, and you see a large kind of expanding mouth appear in the belly of this creature. Well, what would have been Emile Duchamp's belly, it opens and rows of jagged teeth are inside. You would say definitely enough to swallow a man. And so as that ends the round, and as the creature spends its turn reeling in Joe, we're going to split away from combat, and we're going to jump up to the side of the train where we see Honest Pete Abraham sitting in the snow beside Maxine Schmidt, and there is a gentle fire lapping out of the top of the room behind them, and the screams and sounds of, fire coming from inside in various languages. French, English, German.
How much noise is coming down from the end of the train?
You heard a shot. You heard some muffled screaming. It doesn't sound great. If you're a betting man, and as most politicians are, you would bet that the early returns and the early polling is not favorable in the current situation happening behind the train.
Okay.
I will also let you know that a gift from beyond is on its way, as there are some boons in Honest Pete's future. So thank you very much for the donation, as Fintel was able to send you some gifts from above.
Probably going to need them.
I would say so.
So Pete will probably, after like a small amount of time of reeling in pain from the burns that have cooked his legs pretty well, he would attempt to kind of stand up as well as get Maxine up as well. Probably taking a moment to just kind of take a look at her and kind of go about a attempt at just kind of like reassurance. Hey, Fraulein Maxine, we'll find your father, okay? You have my word for it.
Okay,
Just to
Maxine. Yeah, Maxine seems. It's not that she's ignoring you, but it's like you can't get her attention. She's just in that state of shock. If you would like to try a fast talk charm, something like that, to see if you can't bring her back around, this might be in the wheelhouse of a politician seeking to calm
absolutely.
the constituency. Yeah.
Let's do let's go for charm on this one.
Okay.
Whew. It's a success. Barely.
Okay, so yeah, you are able to it takes a moment and she looks through you, and you realize that she recognizes you from before as her eyes kind of the skin and the muscle around the eyes. Pete? And everything kind of comes rushing back, and you see her try to like start to get up. My father, where's my father? And she sees what kind of state that you're in, and she's just almost ready to slip back into shock. But this is more of a disbelief of recognition. She's understood and in her place as far as mentally, but she's still just confused now as to what she's missed in the past couple minutes.
So Pete would kind of put a hand kind of on her shoulder in the reaffirming an attempt at everything was going to be okay, a absolute lie which Pete is well versed in, and would attempt to sell her on the fact that, well, Mr. Schmidt obviously is not here, but we will look for him. Are you okay to move?
Yeah, she gets up. She seems wobbly, but she offers a hand to you because presumably you're still kind of hunkered down a bit as Yep, she's able to pull you up.
Okay. And I would kind of probably leaning heavily on the non-inflamed rail cars as I try to make my way towards the end of the train.
Okay, so we're going to say for the sake of the narrative that you're able to get up, and all of this is taking place since Pete's out of combat. All of this is taking place kind of during that first round. May just rounds the corner when this conversation begins. You know, there's the attack, there's the drawing in of Joe, there's Barney's gunshot as all of this is going down. So when you guys are able to kind of stumble and make your way down to the side of the train, you kind of come around the corner just as Joe is being drugged towards the mouth of this thing. And now that you have a nice, good view of that, I'd like you to roll your sanity check for me as Maxine gets to do so as well.
Hard success.
Nice. Yeah, Maxine failed. But the worst is behind Maxine, and she only takes 1 point of sanity, and she's able to kind of look, and she staggers backwards a bit, and oh my god, as she sees this mass of tentacles holding aloft Joseph Dietrich and combating the rest of the people that she's kind of peripherally come to know. So Pete, as you come around this corner, you see a couple of things. You see a woman standing in front of May, or what you presume to be a woman, as much of the identity is obscured because of this face. The hair in the face. What I'm going to ask you is, I want you to roll a luck roll. You cannot crit this. The result of which will give you the potential to maybe see who this is.
Luck was not on my side.
Nope, you have seen that May is standing against two definite enemies, as there is this naked fiend in front of her, and then this tentacled creature behind the fiend. And it is definitely a problem. And we're going to jump back up to the top of the order as we see May. May, this banshee woman ran in and took a swing at you, and you, of course, still have the tentacled monster that is pulling Joe. You would think that if given a few more seconds, this thing's going to take a bite out of Joe.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Uh I would like to try to save Joe.
Okay. And how?
Hmm. What am I gonna do? It's like, yeah, she's going to deal with the more of the Joe's gonna get eaten thing rather than the strange banshee woman. Um, I would like to try to. Uh, so it's basically the mouth thing is near where the stomach would be.
Yes. In fact, if this banshee woman wasn't in your way, you would literally be able to kind of punch your fist into it. It's like straight in front, like a straight punch for May would go into this thing's mouth. So it's right around, your chest, stomach level is where this thing split and opened up.
Okay. Yeah, but Aphrodite's in the way, huh?
No, a banshee woman's in the way.
The
But,
banshee woman's in the way.
Right.
Craig.
Yeah, okay, well, meta, it's Aphrodite, sure, but you don't know that. It's a banshee woman. Christ.
Yeah, May wants to get to that thing, but the Banshee Woman's in the way, so she's going to try to throw Banshee Woman out of the way.
Okay, so you are going to try to move the banshee woman out of the way.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to make this happen?
Well, May would grab her and expend another shock to try to paralyze her, or shock her at least, as she pushes it out of the way.
I love it. It's a great idea. Let's go ahead and roll that attack.
Yeah,
Banshee woman, I will let you know that at this point, I am not going to allow the traditional dodge roll, as you wouldn't see this coming. And you would turn to attack anyway, so your back's basically towards what you kind of off balance. That's an attack. That's a hit. So let's roll that damage. 3
points.
So, Banshee woman, as you are grabbed by this absolutely skin-numbing electrical charge that more pushes you with current than with any physical force, as it's almost kind of just shoves you almost magnetically away with the electrical current as it goes off. We're going to say that let's roll a dexterity check for Aphrodite. This will determine how far and in which direction she goes. Okay, so with a 55, all you do is the direction in which May was trying to sweep you, if that's right or left, which direction would that be, Kiana? Are you sending, if we're looking down, you guys are at 12 o'clock, are you sending her to 9 o'clock or towards Joe at 3 o'clock?
I am not sending her towards Joe. If
Okay.
I think this is an enemy, Greg.
Absolutely, right. So I have to ask these things, Kiana. I don't know what maybe May's a traitor. We have no idea. Okay, so you sweep her towards the 9 o'clock side. As you do so, Aphrodite, because of your roll, you only kind of stagger about 5 feet. You're still basically in range. You do take the 3 electrical damage, though, as May kind of shoves you aside. You do have movement left here, May. If you want to put yourself closer to the creature, you can. But that would mean basically standing between the mouth and Joe.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That's fucking baller. So if you're gonna stand right up against this, that is baller, and that's baller to the point where I'm giving you a free advantage if you would like to use it, because that's a baller move. I'm gonna put it down, advantage. So, you're standing there. We're gonna jump down now to Aphrodite. Aphrodite, you've just got punched with a bit of current. You are a little bit away from where you were, and May is standing in front of this now almost Pac-Man-like creature that's opening and splitting, and the teeth are extending around where the belly and waist were.
My anxiety and Aphrodite's anxiety are very real right now. She is confused because she didn't think that she was going to take an attack from May. Barney and Joe seem to recognize her pretty immediately. But I think she sees how serious this situation is, and with the cold and this monster, her hands clench into fists, and it's like something starts shifting under her skin, and she starts changing. And no one's looking at her, but if you were standing close enough, you would see that she begins to grow scales all over her body. And I'm casting Flesh Ward for 5d6 points of armor.
Go ahead and roll that armor.
18.
18 points of armor as Aphrodite, the goddess of love, becomes much, much more. All right, that is your action. You do have movement. Is there any place you want to be?
She's not going to let May get fucking chomped by this monster. She's going to keep putting herself in between May and the mouth of this sicko. So she's gonna move.
Hey, you know what? I take offense to that just because
You've been calling me a banshee woman this whole stream. What do you mean you take offense to it?
I take offense that your mouth splits from your belly one time and you're a sicko. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
That's
right.
exactly right. You are. Yeah, so she's in between them now.
Okay, you are going to have to put yourself closer to the creature.
I can push her.
I was going to say, you're going to need to make a contested strength check if May resists. So it would be strength on strength, as you would see her charging at you again with the intent to push you, as you have just shocked her, May. So this would be strength on strength. We are going to go with whatever the best category is: extreme, hard, regular. And if we're in the same category, it'll be the lowest number.
Okay.
Well, son of a bitch, you people. Okay. So, as you come in armored up and push May is able to force it back, and she is able to kind of almost, it's almost like you would see in American football where two people hit and one of them's on the ground and the other just stands up over top, and May is the one standing and Aphrodite is the one on her butt, as the two crack, and there is one victor in this battle of physics. Let us go to Barney. Barney, you see a literal, like a titanic struggle going on in front of this creature between May and Aphrodite, who seem to be fighting one another.
What the hell? Barney is behind the creature at this point, and he's going to he's come around kind of like in a full half circle to try to sneak up behind it. And can he try to approach without being seen?
It's aware of your presence, but because you went around to its blind side, it's not technically, it's not tracking you, as there are multiple combatants in front of it. So go ahead, and instead of a disadvantage, I'm going to have you roll a straight stealth, just to see if your final approach can be made without some of its other senses picking up on you.
Okay. And he has advantage on his stealth checks. Is that canceled out, or do I get advantage on this?
No, I'm gonna have you go ahead and use it. This seems like the right time to use something like that.
Whew. Those are two very different rolls. So as he comes up behind the creature, there's a flurry of wind that kind of swirls around between the two of them, and a bunch of snow picks up off the ground, and it's like a wall of snow for a second. And he is coming through the snow, rifle raised, and with his talent Shadow, he has this thing that if he is hidden, then he can attack twice before giving away his position.
Okay.
And he wants to take a shot at maybe the can he bear down on the tentacle that has Joe up in the air? Can he try to blast that tentacle and free Joe?
I tell you what you can do. Instead of taking the shot at the tentacle per se, you can come up and, because of that extreme stealth, you can put the barrel directly against the tentacle at the stump, at like the root of it coming out of the shoulder. So, you can pick which one it is, and you'll be able to hit them both. We're going to go ahead and say you have 2 attacks this round, and because it is such extreme proximity, I'm being benevolent. I'm going to give you advantage on both of these, because advantage on the first one because it has no clue you're there, and all of a sudden there's a barrel on its side.
So the first shot is at the stump of the tentacle to try to free Joe if he can.
Correct.
So that'll be
a hard success for
13 damage.
Woo! That is nice. Alrighty. And the second one, regular, no advantage, as it is now very aware of your presence.
Did he manage to blast off that tentacle appendage, or is the tentacle still there?
We are going to find out next round when it is Joe's turn.
Okay. So then, just to be safe, he's going to take another shot at that same tentacle to make sure he can really free Joe.
Okay.
And this one will just be...
Ooh. With an extreme, it is always my house rule that an extreme is exactly like a crit when you are using a gun, so that drops it to double damage, which is 20, as Barney, the man that would be Poseidon, comes forward and lays low the one side of this creature as you do indeed blast off the tentacle with the second shot. And with the included damage, you blast the second tentacle off of the same stump. So one entire side, as Joe drops, covered in these still writhing tentacles. He's lying in there like someone's dropped him into a can full of night crawlers. And as he's sitting there like throwing these things off of him as they kind of crawl back over him, you see him immediately go to the ground and start like moving snow aside as he's looking for his weapon. We're going to see if he finds it. He does not, as Barney has used all the good rolls, but Joe is still looking around through there, and Barney, you have severely wounded this creature as the mouth that was ready and open to accept its meal of Joseph Dietrich roars in this almost kind of squirrely whine, something way too high-pitched, very odd for a creature with this type of mass. You're expecting something menacing, but it's like as it just cackles forth from this maw. And as Joe goes through the dirt, it turns and attacks. This time, however, it is going to take its shot or shots at May. With a hit and a miss. And you're all about to realize just how lucky, and for 15 points of damage, the one side of the tentacle smashes into May and sends her flying about 20 feet down past over Joseph Dietrich. As Dietrich stops for a moment and sees May's foot literally go over his head as he's searching for it, and he immediately abandons the gun and begins to crawl towards May as she crashes down about 5 or 10 feet beyond. The creature turns and rounds on the rest of you, as the two remaining tentacles kind of thump to the ground in a rhythmic ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, boom, as if it's preparing to do something else. But with that attack, we go back now to the man that just rounded the corner, Honest Pete Abraham. You just saw all of that.
Oh, brother. Pete would quickly attempt to push Maxine kind of back behind the corner, like kind of guiding her back in a brave fashion to protect the young Fraulein, of course, making sure he is also behind the corner.
Yeah, she readily gets pushed. She is very willing to be redirected to what looks like a safer position.
Okay, I will take out straight shooter, and looking at the barrel again, read, I believe it was given this day of November to the 99th mayor of New York City. And then considering what I remember from my momentary lapse of sanity, that I don't die here. And so I will turn the corner back around, and inspired by Dwight, I will burn a crit on the biggest enemy that is currently in my vicinity.
Very good. Okay, so you are within. What's your? I should have asked this before, but I allowed it to slide. What is your score in handguns? What's your percentage?
50.
You just make it. As Pete, I am going to allow you to do the following. Because you have 50 in handguns, you can fan the hammer. I didn't ask that last time, but I'm glad I was right, or lucked into it. So you're able, if you can close within 10 feet, which your movement will allow you to do, I will allow you to take that first shot at a crit, and a second and a third. Using a crit at that time is optional to you, but you may use 3 if you'd like. Completely up to Honest Pete Abraham. But with the first one, all I need you to do is roll damage, and we're going to double it. So you can roll an attack, and we'll double that first one. Holy. Okay, so with the first shot, Aphrodite, you are closest to all of this, and a whisper of yellow kind of zips by your shoulder. Barney, you are on the other side of this as you see this creature, and it almost sounds like somebody running a... You've heard organs get hit before. You've heard somebody's lung get hit in combat where it sounds like 2 pieces of meat slapping, but then a hollow, almost deflating balloon type of sound where you got the, as it just all happens at once. And you hear that again, and a zip of yellow goes out, maybe an inch or 2 by your hip as the center mass of this creature in front of you gets compromised. It begins to leak this black fluid all down into the snow, and when it hits the snow, presumably heat from a body would cause it to melt. You see the snow itself grow colder as if it is melted and then refrozen, and there is a black ice creeping out from around this creature. It is still up, though, Honest Pete, as you have leveled straight shooter and done your business once. You may roll for the other 2, or you may take your crits if you would like them.
We'll roll. We'll see how the luck goes.
I'd love to hear it. Oh, shit.
Success?
Yep. So another success, and you see again, almost just working within that index card of a target. Boom, boom. And at this point, Barney, you see another whisper of yellow shoot out from that area right by your feet, to the point where you may step aside or realize that something is passing through this thing. You have one more shot, Honest Pete, and let me tell you... Well, no, go ahead. You have one more shot.
You go ahead.
Go right ahead.
The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, go right ahead. Just go ahead and let's roll this. Ha! Oh, I love it. And it's an extreme, which is a automatic crit, as we have mentioned, for 5 damage, and the creature had 10 hit points left. So as Honest Pete rolls from around the corner, Honest Pete, Finney, the floor is yours, my friend, as the man that would be mayor comes around and fires 3 shots in straight shooter fashion. How does this thing go down?
Man, I would say it's yellow, right? The like the power that comes out of straight shooter.
It looks like
Okay.
almost a gust of, like, if someone were to condense or make visible oxygen, like a whisper, it's as it comes out.
Okay, I would say that with your permission, that the some of the yellow force seems to stay within the creature momentarily, and then, as if making sure not to have a hanging Chad, as it were, the yellow light just kind of cascades out as if punctures on a ballot.
Nice. So as this thing's ticket literally gets punched, it zip, zip, zip out the back, and whatever was holding up this bulbous mass of gray rubbery skin falls in on itself as it begins to melt and deflate, quickly turning into that black ice until the rubbery skin itself has disappeared. You are all out of combat as Joe reaches May. May! May!
I think I may have cracked something.
Just lie still. Lie still. And he's looking around and he's waving. Pete, there is still an enemy here, though.
Oh, well, so Pete will wheel the gun and just kind of point it out at the apparently naked lady still. Is that correct? Is that that's a true statement?
Correct.
With scales, I think, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a texture there. You're not real sure at this distance, but
Okay.
that was the end of your round, though, and we will jump to Aphrodite, as we're going to go with the people that are closest here, as they are going to affect the difference, with Joe and May being effectively removed from this exchange. Aphrodite, you see Honest Pete Abraham. The last time you saw him, he was being murdered. This time, he is doing the murdering, as he lays this creature low, but then he turns his gun toward you.
So she was still in the snow from slamming into May. And she sees Pete alive. And just she knows that she's not too late, that maybe there's a world where he's still alive and maybe she can save him. And she just starts, she gets up, unafraid of the gun, and starts walking towards him pretty quickly.
And we're going to say that you can make it to him, as he's only within 10 feet of your position because he moved in to fan the hammer. You close to him, Aphrodite, as basically you move as one, with Honest Pete moving the gun over. You close on him. What would you like to do to him? Or for yourself?
She comes in and wraps her arms around him and just kind of leans against him.
What is she feeling?
confused because she still doesn't know what she can do to save him. But she's relieved.
And so too does Pete feel this, as does Barney, this sense of confusion, but ultimately an overpowering sense of relief. And Pete, you feel not an attack, but almost a hold of endearment as this woman holds on to you. And the sense of aggression in you fades as now we are out of combat.
So Pete would probably, I think Pete would stand there kind of for a moment, even still holding the gun out as she kind of closes past it. And once there's an embrace, there's probably kind of like the tense up. And then once that the aggression leaves, probably just embraces again. I mean, all this chaos, and then suddenly there's a hug. That sounds like a winning endorsement to me.
And because I'm sure Honest Pete is somebody that never forgets the face of a potential voter or donator, with this type of proximity, even with the rigidity and the look of the scales, you can tell this is Mimi.
Well, it would seem the cold has had an ill effect on you, my lady.
She doesn't say anything. She just pulls back after a second and looks up at Pete. I'm going to find a way to save you.
Pete, you know exactly what she's talking about.
Well, I figure if anybody can, it would be you, huh?
I'm not sure. But I'll do my best.
Is that a promise?
Yes.
Pete will hold his hand out in the fashion of a handshake.
She looks at it for a long moment and then takes his hand in both of her hands.
It's as good as a contract. It'll hold up in a court of law.
She kind of smiles a little bit, and then she looks over at where May fell in the snow.
You see Joe over top of her, and you feel 3 points of your armor disappear as the cold begins to still maintain its attack on your flesh.
Mm-hmm. May's hurt.
Greg, this black goop that was seeping out of whatever this creature was, is it spreading? Is it continuing to spread even now as this conversation's happening?
Yeah, it's coming. It almost, if you were to put a texture to it and kind of what it looks like after it freezes, if there was a way to liquefy marble and have this marble run, as soon as it passes and runs maybe 6-7 inches behind it, it has the same texture as marble, completely smooth. It looks as if it's frozen, but you're not utterly convinced without looking at it more that it isn't some type of rock, as it's just making kind of spreading and making this plate if you will, around where the creature was. The remnants of its actual flesh are continuing to deteriorate as well. The clothing remains, the uniform of Emile Duchamp's remains, but anything else that was maybe the true nature or the flesh of the disguise seems to be firing, providing, fueling this conversion into the black marble.
Yeah, during the conversation between Pete and Aphrodite, he notices it and steps away from it. He doesn't try to check it out closer. He sort of is watching them intently. He's not suspicious looking of Aphrodite. He saw her kind of rush in there, but he's very confused. And when they say that May's hurt, he turns and looks to where May and Joseph is, and he'll head off that way.
Okay, so for the sake of the narrative, we can say that you can all congregate around the point where May hit the ground, and Maxine Schmidt will come out as well, seeing that the fighting, or at least the threat of the fighting, is over, and she would prefer to be with a group that seems to have been victorious than alone by herself in the darkened, shadow of a train. You're all together.
Is Warner around too? Warner Schmidt?
Wow, Warner's there. She's tending to him. He seems to be unconscious, though. He also seems to be drained, but we're not sure exactly how that is he just looks like he's dehydrated a bit, maybe. Had too much to drink, stomach bug. Just doesn't seem to be as healthy as he once was.
Before the others have congregated, Joseph is kind of fussing over me. Joseph, there's a button underneath the glove. Could you just switch it off?
What? Yeah. My God, what is this thing, May? As he holds up your arm by the forearm, and he begins to kind of... This is fascinating. It's electricity. This is amazing. And he reaches under, and after kind of a check around your wrist, roll a psychology roll for me for a second, May.
Okay. What? Okay.
And the dice tell the story as normally May, especially after being struck by a creature and thrown 20 feet, never recognized this, but you see that as he is holding up your arm and looking for this button, you see or feel his fingers find it immediately. But he continues to fish around your wrist, holding the wrist and moving his fingers against the side of the wrist, and only returning a few seconds later to finally switch off the glove. There, I got it.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I think I might have cracked. Really hard to breathe normally.
Just relax. Just don't. And everyone's there if anybody wants to do anything. You do not want Joe performing first aid. So he has trouble switching off gloves. It's not have him do anything else.
So we're all congregated at this point, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so Pete would attempt, because I'm not sure how the windows work, but Pete would reach into his pocket for his flask.
By God, there it is.
And it happens to be full?
Oh, absolutely. You don't even remember filling it. Damn it,
Yeah.
This thing isn't full.
So Pete goes to kind of take a swig first, but then he actually hands it over to whoever would happen to be to his immediate right.
We're going to say it's Barney.
Yeah,
So
Barney doesn't usually like to drink on the job, but he's still reeling. He takes the flask without thinking, looking down at Joe and May, and takes a hard drink out of it. What's inside this flask? Is it
whiskey.
okay? Good. I was worried it was gin. Yeah. So he doesn't cringe. He drinks it, takes a hard pull. Oh, thanks, Pete. Hey, good shooting back there. You're a good shot for a lawyer. He offers the flask back.
Pete would probably wave it to whoever would be to like your right, like kind of.
Oh, right. Who's to my? And he turns. Is it? I'm Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Aphrodite's walking towards the train. She doesn't stop to see if May is okay. She knows that if she gets too close to this Joe situation, she's going to snap. And so she's just walking off by herself towards the train, which I guess is still on fire, maybe.
Well, to set the thing, the whole train's not on fire. There was an element of the train that was on fire. You would notice that there isn't any flames coming from the window, even though you didn't know what window it was. There doesn't appear to be any fire along the length of the Orient Express right now. I will remind everyone else that Aphrodite looks fucking crazy, and she's naked, and she's heading towards the Orient Express.
Right. Is she still covered in scales?
Mm-hmm. For an hour.
So Barney turns to hand it to who he presumes to be Mimi, Aphrodite, not sure what's going on with her. And she's off towards the train. So instead, he offers it back to Pete and says, "We found her out there in the snow. Mimi walked into this. Everything's weird, Pete. I'm going to go follow her. I want to know what's going on." And so for a moment, he was interested in what was happening between May and Joe, but seeing Aphrodite in scales walking into the train, he runs off that way instead.
He can easily catch up.
Yeah, she's just walking.
Oh, Aphrodite?
She just kind of glances and looks at you and just keeps walking straight towards the train.
Hey, do you mind if I walk with you? Do you know what happened back there?
No, I don't.
You've ever seen anything like that? Is that have something to do with what you said about Pete?
What killed Pete wasn't exactly like that, but Greg, do I remember the what are my memories of the Orient like from 1915 as Aphrodite?
Roll. I need an extreme intelligence or idea roll here, as you're going back. Not the.
I'll crit it.
Okay. It's still very clouded for you. You remember the people very much. You remember Joe. You remember, as you felt at the time, your feelings about them would be the feelings you remember. If you liked Joe, you remember liking Joe. Your feelings on initial reactions to May, initial reactions to Barney and Pete. And the one thing that you're confused on, though, is that you do not remember Maxine Schmidt. You understand something about seeing her in 1933, but there's no point of reference from this earlier time for you. Also, because you decided to crit this, it feels as if there's someone missing, but you cannot put your finger on it.
Do I have any memories about the occult symbols that Barney found?
You mean in the asylum that was found, or anything on the Orient Express that he found and relayed to you?
Yeah.
You don't know about that.
Oh,
You can't remember that occurring. You can't
Okay.
remember that there was Barney found something in the salon car that looked like graffiti.
he came from the train, right?
Well, yeah, he was the rear conductor of the train, and I thought he didn't smell right, but I didn't. What was that thing?
Something else.
And you're something else too. He's glancing down at her scales.
She looks down, like follows his gaze, and just kind of nods.
Well, listen, Mimi, Aphrodite, whoever you are, I want to help Pete too, and I'll do what you need me to do to help you. But there's a lot of people inside this train, and I think you might frighten them. So maybe we should, I don't know, get you some of Mimi's clothes, kind of cover you up a little bit, so we can kind of hide whatever's going on with you.
What does their fear matter to me?
These are people who've suffered a lot. They're scared already, don't know what's going on. I'm scared. But you know what happens when one person gets scared and then another person and another person. It spreads like a disease. It's dangerous. And we need to keep everyone calm so that we can get this train moving. Or else all of us, we're in the middle of nowhere. We could die out here.
Okay.
But just give me 1 minute. I'll go get. You have a preference of color or cut or I don't know.
No.
Okay, well I'll find something, I'm sure. And he'll rush in and try to go to their luggage, where they'd gotten their luggage out, and see if he can find like a dress or something, preferably something that'll cover as much of her body as possible. That's his goal.
Sure thing. And if anybody else in the party had gone in, they'd be stopped. But as this is Barney who's in charge of the investigation, despite the craziness and almost the lockdown feel that Renee is trying to get throughout, everybody has been assigned to the car they're in. They're assigned to quarters. Nobody is moving. There was an outbreak of madness. We can't have this continue, blah, blah, blah. You have free run as you kind of stride through the cars. You go past the car of Margaret Bromwell that has been literally boarded up. They have already kind of hammered in a sheet of wood over the door. You can see the scorch marks around it. The smell of gasoline is still evident even after the extinguishment of the fire. You're able to pass by and roll me a luck roll as you in fact find the luggage, and we'll see just how well he does it. Barney does it. He's commanded ships. He's survived the USS Maine and other things. And by God, perhaps his most difficult challenge, but he is able to navigate the luggage of Mimi, and he is able to find something that he believes will adequately cover her up and perhaps keep her warm. Speaking of which, the whole process takes a bit as Aphrodite is waiting. And 6 more points of armor disappear as the cold begins to have its way further with the scales. But by this time, Barney's on his way back. We're going to cut back to Joe, May, Pete, and Maxine and Werner Schmidt as everyone is kind of rousing. You may move towards you may do whatever you'd like. But May, you're up now. We'll say that you've stabilized to the point where you don't believe your back's broken or anything like that. You just feel like maybe you've definitely got a cracked rib or two.
Yeah, so May, who doesn't have a jacket on because she went out the window with the explosion.
Joe has given you Barney's jacket that was given to him by Barney. So the Olympians of Cronus are passing this jacket around.
Right. We should go inside. May passes like a glance over the strange black liquid.
Yeah, it's interesting. It looks like it's all just a frozen patch of rock and marble, and about a third of it is extending over one of the tracks. It seems to have covered the track to the point where there's a good inch or two lip around the track. It could potentially be a train hazard for anything passing over it. Now, the Orient has already passed beyond it, but if something were to come in either direction, this might be a problem.
Yeah, I'm just gonna slowly make my way to the edge of it. Just take a better glance at it. See.
What are you looking at? Are you looking like spot hidden wise, or do you want to actually like touch and investigate?
It's more of a spot hidden than anything. Again.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead and roll me a spot hidden. I'll give you some information.
Nah.
Yeah, it looks like marble.
Yeah, and yeah, she probably like breathed in a little too hard and just like, yep, crack rib. Yes. Maxine?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would help you with your father, but don't think I can bend over right now.
Werner kind of looks up and he stands up. He's very wobbly. I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm okay. Thank you very much. And he begins to kind of weave towards the Orient. It is snowing pretty heavily now. It's not necessarily laying a bit, but there's a good, 7-8 inches on the ground. It's getting deep and it's falling rapidly. As you guys turn around, you see that Aphrodite is standing there, snow collecting on her shoulders and her head as Barney returns with her clothes.
I would say, like, in those moments that people are still a little out of earshot, Aphrodite looks out at the sky and she just says, I know you're there. I don't like games. And that's all she says before anybody else gets back.
You hear a slight laugh reach your ears on the breeze.
Hey, Aphrodite, I found this dress. And I assume it'll fit. I think it's yours. And here's a hat, and here's a scarf, and he's got like a bunch of stuff. Really blocky dress, like the biggest hat he could find. Like a scarf that doesn't match the dress at all. It's like, let's just, and here's some shoes. And it's a random pair of shoes. None of it matches at all, but it's mostly stuff that's large and bulky.
Yeah, she puts it all on. She doesn't care.
He turns and looks away.
She now.
When she's putting clothes on. Right?
Oh my. It's like, I can't see this. She breaks the heels off the shoes. And as soon as the dress is on, she just starts stretching to like rip the seams that are near the arms. And she leans down and tears the dress like all the way up to her hip, like very high hip. And then just kind of looks at the scarf and drapes it over her neck.
Okay, so this is for your keeper. Your keeper wants to know, what was this for? Was this Aphrodite freeing herself up, making this more so she can move easier in this? Or is this like a residual back to Mimi who's trying to make this look more put together?
This is Aphrodite, who does not like the feeling of clothes being on her.
Okay. So sleeves are
wants to
bullshit
move.
and right, okay.
Yeah. You can't kick in a dress.
Understood. Alrighty. You are appropriately dressed, and we're going to say that Rene Clement meets you at the door. He looks at Barney but addresses you all. What is going on? My God, are you all right? And his eyes look at Mimi for a second and then immediately snap to Barney. Is she all right?
Oh, yeah, she's okay. She's just got a skin condition is all, and I think it's exacerbated by the cold. It's very cold out here. Hey, listen, I'm not exactly sure what happened out there with those women, but it was Emil who did it. He came on us, tried to bear down on us, and we had to put him down. And I'm sorry to say that he did not survive the ordeal, so we can't question him.
I'd like you to roll a persuasion check, as elements of that were bullshit. And he is going to say...
On that,
You're going to crit that one?
I'm going to crit that one because Barney's had a couple of minutes to think about how he wants to lay out this story for Renee.
Okay. So Renee believes it, hook, line, and sinker. Oh my word! Where's Emil? Where is his body?
Oh, you don't want to see him, Renee. It's not a pretty picture, and we need to get this train moving again as soon as we can. You've been taking care of everything inside.
Yes, but we need to take the bodies of the Bromwell and Lorna Campbell Barnes. We need to bring them with us. Yeah, we.
And we will do so. If you just make sure everybody on the train is ready to get moving, we'll go acquire the bodies, the group of us, and we can bring them into you. Now, my friend Mimi here, I'll leave it up to her whether or not she's feeling up to another trek through the snow, but I want everyone to kind of give her the same due that they would give me. If she wants to go in, she's got my full trust as a member of my team.
We can. I can send some of my men to get the bodies. We can. You do not have to trouble yourself. You have done enough. If you believe it's okay to take them, then we will.
He looks back over to his shoulder. Is Joseph Dietrich, have they kind of come up on the train at this point? Is everybody kind of together?
Yeah, Dietrich's like flanking you, kind of behind you a bit, watching the exchange.
He gives Dietrich a little bit of a look like, I don't know, do you want them to go out to that horror show out there? Seeing if Dietrich has any kind of indication as to what he thinks based on this expression.
Do a psychology roll for me.
Yeah.
If you're just reading his expression. Hard to read him.
He's so enigmatic.
Right. He's not an open book at all. He looks, and when he sees that you look at him, he sort of nods and says, "This is just as good as us going back out there. Just sends the ones that have already seen it, the ones that were there originally. Don't let anyone else have to remember that.
Yeah, okay, Renee. Just the ones that have already seen it. It's and they need to make sure that nobody in the train sees it. I think it's going to disturb the passengers. It's a very grisly scene. If they could put the bodies somewhere where we might be able to examine them later, that would be very helpful.
We will put them in the last car here. We won't bring them any further into the train. We will just leave them back here. And he indicates like the caboose of the Orient Express.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you.
He immediately begins to like clap and call for, and you see several of the men that are still wearing the long coats come out. Pete, you would identify one of those men as having been the one that you struck with a gin bottle to get off of Maxine Schmidt. His eyes pass over you. He does not seem to recall the exchange.
I say absolutely nothing.
Right. Okay. So as they move back towards the back, we're going to go ahead and accelerate this process just a bit narratively. As you all get back onto the Orient Express, you are in your car. You have been assigned new quarters. The car that you had currently been in was also the same car as Margaret Bromwell and had contained the fire that was caused in the room. They have moved you back one car away from the locomotive towards the caboose, and they have given you the entire car. So Maxine Schmidt, all of you, Joseph Dietrich, you guys all have the 4 kind of compartments that are in this car. They have redirected everyone else to either general seating as they are trying to. They have gotten the Orient underway, and they are making best possible time to Lausanne. They need to get there and kind of redo everything. Renee has told you that the bodies are in the very back. They have not opened Lorna Campbell Barnes's room. They could not find Emil. They have notified local authorities to go there in the morning. He actually sent one of his men back along the tracks to get there and presumably, get to the back to the outskirts of Paris and be able to tell local authorities to get there, as there is not train to land travel or communication at this point. So they're able to kind of get all of these parts moving, and you all are on board the Orient as it is chugging along normally.
Would they have? I guess I probably would have checked to see like if there's any doctors on board, knowing that May in particular is hurt and Pete got burned.
There isn't.
Yeah, before getting here, May would have insisted on going back to the car to grab her bag of things.
Yeah, all of your belongings have been moved from your previous quarters up to the new one. You're missing nothing, so no rolls required, as Renee has dutifully collected all of your belongings and transported them up to you. The car, though, that was yours is sort of located at the top third of the Orient, and they are not allowing anyone in or out of that car. So you can't pass through and head towards the locomotive. The 2 cars beyond that cannot pass through it and head towards the caboose. You guys are on the caboose side.
As we were being moved through the Orient, was there any particular emotion that stood out apart from the others? Like, was there anything that Aphrodite sensed that didn't feel like the general kind of chaos and confusion of what's been happening on the train?
Make a power check for me.
I'll just crit it.
Oh, of course you will. Okay, so as you go ahead and crit that, I believe that's the Sabella Ives crit. Well, Well, actually, no, I think that's the Dwight Burke crit. As you go ahead and do that, you sense that general nervousness, that apprehension from some of the richer folk that are now being detained, and it's become obvious that they're going to be late for their destination, wherever it may be along the length of the Orient. Just annoyance. That the way that you would feel this, Aphrodite, is that almost golden annoyance of the privileged that is just believes their needs are so much worth so much more than those of the others around them. So it almost glows to you, this gilded annoyance. You feel a lot of that. You feel a lot of just mass confusion, some fear. A lot of confusion because people realized that something had happened when everyone acted crazy for about 30 seconds. But there's rumors and theories going around that there was some type of gas leak, that there was a fire associated with it. A lot of things that have probably been like kind of spread around by members of the crew or the staff. But just when you think that you felt everything, you feel a brilliant, cold, calculating malevolence. An absolute, a sentient emotion. Something that both feels, looks, smells, it tastes evil. And it's coming from the front of the train.
Here I come, the front of the train. The moment that she senses it, she starts just booking it. She doesn't tell anybody what she's doing at any given moment. She just starts going the way that she needs to go.
Okay. So you quickly, if anybody's watching, are you trying to sneak away when you do this, or are you just standing up and heading out?
Yep.
All right, well, Joe would be the first one to be like, where are you going? Aphrodite, and that would kind of alert everybody else. So you would see Aphrodite get up, head towards whatever door, open it up, and head towards the front of the train that is now moving.
She doesn't stop to answer him.
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
It's a terrible idea. She's batshit crazy.
Ooh, I'm not. I mean, I think she's maybe just confused, Joe.
Something is being lost in translation. But I sympathize for her. We should bring her back here and, talk her out of this.
Oh, did you see what she did back there? I don't know if we can stop her if we want to.
That's why I'm not jumping up to do it by myself.
Did we have time? Would we have had time to, for example, Pete needs to change his trousers?
Yeah. By the way, that statement taken out of context is the best statement. If nobody knows that he was burned up, it just sounds like the greatest. Like, now the battle is over. I need to change my pants are full of shit, everybody. Can I? Right.
Just putting that out there.
Right. No, absolutely. You can change your burned pants and put on new ones. You've had moments to clean. This is hours down the line as presumably Aphrodite, you would kind of sat and acclimated to these emotions, almost dismissing the fact that there's nothing that was out of the ordinary. And hours later, you pinged that malevolence.
So Pete seeing... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope. Go right ahead.
I was going to say, so during the changing process, there probably would have been a point where Pete looked at Straight Shooter and kind of 99th mayor of New York City, and probably not knowing how loud he would say it, would probably be kind of like, mayor, and then would light up a cigar. And if he noticed Aphrodite leave, because Pete's idea was bread and circuses. So if the people are having, or there's a lot of emotion going on, then to ramp up general good cheer would probably be one of the best things that could occur at this point. So he would see it as, he'll go and try to entertain to bring down some of the foul mood. So he would just kind of follow Aphrodite.
Okay, so she's heading towards. Oops.
I guess Barney would check on May too. Is May awake?
Yeah, she'd be awake. Probably been forced to lie down and not move. So she's probably in one of their quarters in the room. She's sitting up, but she's staying put. And she has all of her things just kind of laid out on her lap on the bed.
Well, May, what you did back there is incredible, but I don't want to leave you here alone. If we need to go after Aphrodite, but we can't all go unless you feel like walking. But how are you doing?
I've been better. Whenever we make our next stop, I should probably get whatever I checked out. I'll be fine. Thanks for the concern, though.
Well, yeah, of course. And thanks for jumping in like that. That was real brave of you. He looks over his shoulder to Joe. What do you think? Do you think we should follow the two of them? Stay behind?
I'm at a loss. I don't know what we should do. She's a threat to herself and to this train, though.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure she tried to attack me earlier. I don't. You guys seem to trust her. I don't.
I don't know that I trust her.
She attacked me too, May.
She did.
She was very confused.
But she knows something about what's going on.
Yeah, but will she tell us?
Pete's a good shot, but
we're gonna cut from there because this conversation's taken way too much longer than. So as you get to the edge of the door and go to open it, Aphrodite, it's locked and does not open, leading to the next car. This is the car that has been cordoned off by the crew and locked and kept separate, so nobody can pass forward to where you felt the malevolence, and nobody up front can pass back.
So I can do this thing that I kind of want to do that I haven't done before. Are there any windows nearby that I could open?
Sure thing, yeah.
Okay. So I can climb vertical surfaces the same way like a lizard can. So I kind of want to go outside the window and climb on top of the train and just hop over this and go to the front and then climb back in a window.
So you're going to go on the top of the train?
Uh-huh.
All right, Pete, since you have a front row seat to this, you see Aphrodite freeze in front of the door, presumably check to see that it's locked, immediately go over into one of the adjoining or end rooms that you guys all have in this car, goes in, throws open the window, and bitter air just whips into this as you hear the outside of the Orient come to the inside. Snow and wind blows in, and you see her climb out into the darkness. We'll give you a chance to say anything if you want to.
Probably not. Probably just standing there in bewilderment, like the social car is this way, like indicating the other, because it's the other direction would be the social car, right? Like towards the back.
Correct. The salon car's in the back.
Because Pete's whole thing was, I assume we're going to go have drinks. So yeah, it would probably just kind of stand there dumbfounded and then would probably remark to Barney. Would probably be like, Barney? Banny,
Yeah.
sorry. Banny.
Oh, yeah, Pete? Pops his head out of the door.
And then he would just like indicate to the window, like not being able to express exactly what happened, but the open window.
Yeah, Barney, you would feel the wind and see the snow blowing from the door in as Pete's just looking dumbfounded, pointing out presumably the window and back at you with a look of absolute confusion on his face.
Oh no, did she jump like that gin lady jumped?
No, she crawled out the window.
Where is she? And he'll go to the window and like look out.
And as Barney pops his head out and, the mustache and the hair kind of flapping in the bitter cold as he kind of squints his eyes to look around, we're going to follow as if on a dolly camera shot from Barney's expression out the window up into the top of the car that the party previously had, as Aphrodite is standing on the top of the Orient Express as the wind whips the clothing. The high cut skirt is blowing almost like a flag behind her now, as her long hair too seems like a flag unfurled. And Aphrodite, as you're standing there at the other end of the car, you see a figure sitting cross-legged, staring back towards you. And the figure kind of arches its back and hops up to its feet, dusts the snow off of his shoulders, and Simon Meadham says, "What took you so long?" And that's where we'll end this episode of Project Cronus. Alrighty, everybody. Yay! Pulp Cthulhu, so much fun! Love it, love it, love it. Couldn't love it more. Alright, let's go around to our cast and crew and see how they are doing. By the way, if you have not followed by now, please give us a follow and you will be notified when we go live next week to figure out exactly what happened. Thank you very much. As we go live next week and you can figure out exactly what's happening with this little story and where it's going to go from here. But we're going to spin around in a different direction, as I'm going to start with Don. Don, how did you like today?
It was awesome. This might have been I feel like I say this pretty frequently, but this might have been my favorite episode so far. It started off with a really great fight. Everyone got to be super cool. People got hurt. Things were gross. And then we got back on the train. It had everything that I love. I really, really enjoyed it. And I love the visual image of that speeding train with Aphrodite on top and then the cross-legged Meadham. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for next week. You can follow me at Donathan Fry on Twitter. I play games, so next week I might be a little short. I might have like a week off, so I'll have to figure out what I'm gonna do with myself. But yeah, still follow me. I'll let you guys know what I'm up to.
Awesome, brother. And link is in chat, everybody. Give my man Don a follow because he's worth it. I always say that all of my casts are filled with brilliant people, not because they're brilliant role players, which they are, because they're brilliant people. And you want to surround yourself with kind, brilliant people in this terrible, this little bit of a dark world we're living in right now. So all the ones that you see here, Don, Kiana, Summer, and Finney, follow them and make your day a little bit brighter. Speaking about a little bit brighter, let's jump up to Kiana. Kiana, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. May's nursing a couple of cracked ribs. On a scale of 1 to 22, she's feeling a 7. It's not going super great for her, but she has her stuff. She's alive and mostly sane. So you know what? I'll count that as a win. We had a little bit of hint towards drama, relationships.
Questions?
Yeah, You know that Summer and I are just gonna keep pushing that drama, right? we're just gonna do that. But
I hope you guys know that I am going to love that you're going to push it, because that's my jam too. So let's keep it going. Go right ahead. Yeah.
I'm very excited to do that. But yeah, love this game as always. It's so much fun to do with this amazing cast and crew. But until next week, you guys can find me over on Twitter at KennaS. Best way to figure out what I'm doing, because I am playing role-playing games all over the internet almost every single day of the week. There's going to be a little bit of a changeover. As like Don said, there's a lot of season changes happening. So definitely keep an eye out. I have a bunch of new announcements to make as well about new shows and stuff. So if you'd like to see what I do, definitely check it out. Can't wait for next week to see what this demon child has to say. I'm so mad about that.
It will be something. Let us drop down to my man Finney, who was shooting up a storm today. How are you doing, brother?
I'm still terrified. I think that's just a constant at this point, so that can be assumed. I had a blast though. This was I think I would agree with Don, and for the record, he does say it every week, but I think it's because it only keeps building. So yeah, just a lot of fun, and a shout out to Steve or Dwight, because that was without him, the Pete's straight shooter may have been a little bit different, I think. But yeah, so at Flathagen on Twitter. I'm here every Saturday because, Greg, as always, you are my everything. But just real quick, if I could make an announcement. It isn't official yet. There's still a few things that are being worked out, but there's a chance that there may be a vote Honest Pete Abraham for President of the United States in 2020. So we'll see. We'll see how that works.
You've got my vote for sure. 100%. Listen, I don't get political, but if Honest Pete Abraham's on the ballot, I am wearing a t-shirt. I'm going to be out there at the polls. I'm going to be out there. You voted, get out there and vote again, like the press gangs of old. So, we'll see it. And awesome, brother. And let's jump up for our final Olympian, Summer. How are you doing today? And how's Aphrodite doing?
Great and great. There's a lot happening for this sweet angel. But doing really great. There's something that I really love about playing a character as recklessly as I know how. And it's just a lot of fun. And I honestly cannot wait for next week. It's going to be incredible and a showdown. And I've hated that kid since the first second we saw him. And I'm still planning on writing his mother a very strongly worded letter. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Just a Summer Job. That's the best way to keep up with what I'm doing. But Off the Table, the channel that I have is getting ready to switch over to a bunch of new shows. But one that is starting this Tuesday is Session 0 for Urban Shadows, which we'll be doing weekly, GM'd by me, and got some really, really good people playing in that game. So come check it out. We're going to be doing lots of world building and character creation. So if you're interested in helping us figure out what kind of monsters we are, then that's the place to be this Tuesday. But yeah, this is awesome. You guys are amazing. I love playing with you every week.
Fantastic. Everybody, links are in chat. Let me hit everybody again if I can. Follow all those lovely people. Love them to death. And I want that strongly worded letter. Dear Mrs. Meadham, your son is a twat. Respectfully yours. But I want that. I need that in my life. I need it framed like right here.
I'll get on it ASAP.
Please. Anywho, I love you all, chat. Thank you so much for sticking around and being here. I think we'll go over and raid my buddy Tall Squall right now. He is running a little Vice, a stream that has been, will be, forever for charity, and he's a great dude, and he's doing some D&D, and you'll love it. otherwise, we will be here in 1915, getting ready to see you next week. And Grimjack 21502, be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 Eastern to 8, as we have a little bit earlier start for Project Athena, the sister show to this one, Pulp Cthulhu. Next Friday, we will be back for some Conan Age Undreamed Of on the channel from 12 to 2, and some Firefly from 2 to 4. But if you're here for the Cronus, you stay for the Cronus, and we will see you next Saturday from 2 to 4 for the showdown and the throwdown on the train, as Aphrodite squares off with that little twat Simon Meadham. Until then, have fun, everybody.